Verse of the day in the Bible app on the day of his death was this: Colossians 3:1. If ye then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Also, his wife shared on the same day, before he passed, Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge, strength, and very present help in trouble. And she also shared a reel a few months prior, and we're going to watch it now.
We are all visitors to this time, this place. We are just passing through. Our purpose here is to observe, to learn, to grow, to love, and then we return home.
Charlie himself shared 4 days prior, Jesus defeated death so I can live. None of that is a coincidence. God knew what was coming. And I believe that's why in one of the interviews Charlie did, he was asked what he wants to be remembered by.
How do you want to be remembered? I mean, if I die, everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith.
And that certainly has come to pass. I also want to mention a couple of other verses that have not only come to my mind, but also so many other Christians are sharing these same verses. Psalm 116:15. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course. I have kept the faith. This was the first one that came to my mind after I heard the news. I want to talk about how we should not focus on the moment of his death, but we should focus on his life and the messages he left, the teachings he left behind. We should watch his videos. We should learn from what he said. And focus on that. Focus on his soul, not his body, because he did not suffer. In that moment, when he got shot, he was immediately gone. He did not have to suffer. And it looked very gruesome to us to see what happened. And I've seen it, and lots of others have seen it. But we should not dwell on that at all. That is not something God would wish us to do. It is something the devil wants us to do, to dwell on that, to look at that, to be threatened, feel frightened, and stop sharing the gospel. He wants to rub that in our face, and we know that because he's just like God uses us to share his word. He's using his own, devil uses his pawns to spread his message. And right now, those people are celebrating and rubbing it in our faces, how happy they are, and making all kinds of illustrations mocking what happened to him, which is absolutely disgraceful. And I can't believe some people's hearts are that cold, but it shouldn't come as a surprise. So we need to focus on Charlie's soul, not his body, because in that moment immediately his soul went to be with Jesus. His job here on earth was done, and he went to be with Jesus. And because we're still here, we should continue from where he left off. So what happened to him ultimately was a threat to us from the devil. And that's why do not look at the pictures. Do not look at the videos. Focus on the good. Focus on what he told us, because he's not gone. He will live forever. He's happy. And we can have some comfort in that he did not suffer. He's celebrating because he's with Jesus. He has won the good fight. Not only that, he had one of the most honorable deaths, and he became a martyr. And it affected us so strongly that thousands more Charlie Kirks will rise up. And all of us have this newfound courage and motivation to go out and share the gospel. That's one of the reasons I'm here. And I wish a hashtag would go viral, hashtag for Charlie, because I'm doing this for Charlie. And I know so many others feel exactly the way I do and has found this new motivation and courage to go out there because something so horrific, something so earth-shattering just happened. Most of all, we need to really remember to carry his family in our prayers. If we are hurting, we can just imagine how much they are hurting. His parents, his wife, his kids. I have a 3-year-old myself, and I can absolutely imagine how heartbroken that 3-year-old is. But when my husband is at work, our 3-year-old sometimes says he misses Daddy, and sometimes he even cries after him because he misses him so much. And it's just horrific to think what his kids are going through right now. So we really, really need to carry them in our prayers every day and many times a day. We need to take care of them however we can. And if prayer is the only way we can take care of them, that's what we need to do. This all also made me think of the 2 witnesses in the Bible, book of Revelation, because it talks about them in the end times, how they will try to bring people to God, but they will be killed, and the whole world will see their bodies, and the world will celebrate their deaths. And this really is very similar thing that happened. And it just goes to show we are getting very close to those times when this kind of event is possible to happen. It is already possible. Basically, that exact thing happened. A man who's innocent, sharing God's values with the world, trying to save people, help people, love on people. He gets executed publicly, and people are celebrating, and the whole world saw what happened. And it also made me think of Stephen, how he was stoned to death, how he was this innocent man, and he stood for his faith, and publicly he was just stoned to death. And this is just so similar. Kind of feels like science fiction, that it can't possibly be real, that this world is so evil already, that something as wicked as this is happening, that people rejoice for something like this. But we truly are getting closer to the end times, or we are in the end times, close to the last years before Christ comes back. I also want to talk about the last person to talk to Charlie Kirk, who was debating with him. Well, he wanted to talk about gun violence and transgenders. Let's watch his interview.
And people have obviously pointed to the irony that the point that I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was. And as much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I'm on the record for how much I disagree with Charlie Kirk, but like, man, dude, he is still a human being. Have we forgotten that? Are we crazy? Like,
I think this should be a wake-up call. I believe there's good people on both sides, but I believe those who are far left, those good people, they are misled. You can't be for God and be far left. Why do you think witches and Satanists are left? Why do you think witches are trying to curse Trump and Charlie? Why do you think Satanists try to debate Charlie and make fun of him? Could it be because Charlie is on God's side? Could it be because left is not on God's side? We need to ask these questions from ourselves, especially if you consider yourself left-leaning. Why do you think all those who openly proclaim that they are wicked, like witches or Satanists, why do you think they are on that side? And should we be on the same side with them as people who want to follow God and what the Bible teaches? Also, I'm not saying either side is perfect, but I'm just trying to point out that the right side is pushing conservative values, and conservative values are based in the Bible. And that is why Charlie lost his life in such a horrendous way. And that's why people celebrate, because we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That is why. That is exactly what's happening here. Also, I want to end on a good note here, and repeating what Ali said. I can put a link down to her video. Ali was Charlie's friend, and she said this about Charlie. Charlie wouldn't care one bit what the evil people celebrating think. What an honorable death. May we all, when we die, make demons rejoice. May we all be that courageous and effective in our faith, and so obedient to the Lord. Charlie knew there was a spiritual battle going on. And also, if Charlie could speak to us right now, he would tell us to point people to Christ and keep going. Because that is exactly how he used to encourage Ali. A verse that came to my mind that I'd like to finish with, because I believe this is God's message to us in this grievous moment. It is Luke 21:28. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh. We see this wickedness increase. We need to remember that verse, and we need to encourage each other. For Charlie.
Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God over all.